Now, we have about 25 minutes more, and I think it's only right. Priya already provoked the man by saying that if the men do not help her, so we have to help ourselves. Do you agree with that? I mean, that you don't help us, or consciously you do not help, but subconsciously you are actually helping us. I don't know who can answer that. But anyway, now I want to throw the question to the crowd first, to the, mention your name and who you want to ask the questions to. Yes, the lady in green. And then the guy at the back there from MCB, I recognize. A lot of hands. Okay, we start with the green, and then the man there, and then the lady in red, and then the lady that is ferociously waving a hand. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, we have no statements, okay? No too much statements, just questions. Shorten it all so that others have the benefit of asking the questions. Okay? Yes.
Thank you very much. It's not a question. I just want to share a couple of things. First of all, I come from Bahrain, and I was telling a lady from Malaysia that in the 90s, when I was studying civil engineering, we were 30 students in the class, and only 10% were men. So I come from an island in the Arabian Gulf, and women, alhamdulillah, they were always very lucky, and they have really achieved in the 60s and the 50s. What I want to say that peer networking, it's not about women and women or men and men, because it doesn't work this way. I think it should be from both sides. And as a woman, I think the moment I will look at myself as a woman, what are the barriers, I will create more barriers. So from my personal experience, although I'm a member of the Bahrain Business Professional Women Club, we help men and women, I think like one of the ladies said. I think the first barrier we have to remove is this woman thing. You have to go and network with everyone, because every person you meet, if he or she is not someone who will benefit in your business today, he or she will do so in 10 years, 15 years. So I think the basic principle is peers, without the gender, without anything, men, women, all support each other. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah, there's a question of culture as well. Not many women are comfortable networking with men, so. Okay, yes, the guy with the red tie.
Thank you. Arif Zaman, part of the MCB delegation. I'm one of the directors of the Commonwealth Business Women's Network, and one of the things that I think is very important is, in terms of peer-to-peer networking, is using technology to link to trade. So what we're doing is 1 billion women, of whom there are 200 Muslim women in the Commonwealth. We're linking them up through a trading platform to access what? To access procurement tenders from the public and private sector. Priya, I'm sure you know this. Kenyan government last year, 30% of government contracts with women.
Question, please.
So the question is, why can't we see more of that kind of initiatives from governments to support women in terms of their economic empowerment? That's the question.
Thank you. Thank you. We will each take this to our individual government. Shall we? Okay. Question, please. I like to see. You posed the question to whom just now? Excuse me. Who would you like to answer the question? Priya. Okay. Priya, you take the question.
I think we have to agree that it's up to us to go to government and say it's time for change. This year I did it in South Africa. I went and fought for one of the single largest fuel distribution contracts, and I got it. But I've also realized it is about the power of networking. And you're quite right, it's against men and women, or across men and women. But in order to change things, we have got to learn to collaborate with each other. I have got to tell the world how it is I did it. And like you've said, we've got to get together with organizations like yourself to find ways in which we can get to government. Thank you.
Good. The young lady in red.
Assalamu alaikum.
Salam.
My name is Sarah, and I'm a grade 11 student of Abu Dhabi. And I'm actually missing school for this, and it's been completely worth it. For the past few days, I've met so many amazing and talented people, mashallah, and I feel really out of place here. And all of this is about peer networking. So what advice can you give to someone young and so utterly inexperienced like me?
Who wants to take that? Alison, can I? Yeah, Alison.
I'll be happy to address that. Well, I'm happy that you're here, and I hope that you do learn a lot while you're here, and hopefully your teacher will give you an A when you can take back the information and you can share that with your teacher, and she'll give you an A for this. My advice is mentoring. We talked about peer networking, but whatever the field you're interested in pursuing, I would find a mentor, because mentors are so important. A mentor can shorten the length of where you have to go when you're trying to achieve a goal. They can tell you the roadblocks, the obstacles, as well as the success path to take for whatever field you're into. So my advice to you is find a mentor, someone that you can talk to, someone that you can confide in, and someone that can give you an advice on where you're trying to go. And people are always eager to help you and tell you what steps that they took. And so with you being, did you say the 11th grade? So yeah, you still have plenty of time to find some great mentors in your area.
Thank you. Dr. Armani, I think, yes.
Thank you. I am Dr. Asfour. I am the World Vice President for the International Federation of Business and Professional Women. I am also the Chairperson for COMESA Business Council and President for the Egyptian Business and Professional Women. Thank you very much for the lovely ladies. You know, next year, 2015, is a historical year, because we are ending the Millennium Development Goals, and one of these goals is alleviation of poverty and hunger and gender equality and women empowerment. And we're starting the post-2015 development agenda, which is sustainable development goals, and women empowerment is there. And also reviewing 20% of what we call Peking Conference, and women economy is very big as that. So this is the global agenda, but stopping up,
Armani, question.
Yeah, that's what I am trying to say. Because if I'm asking the question, I want to understand how knowledgeable are they about the global agenda, how to really implement it on the grassroots, because this is our job as civil society organizations, as private sector, is how to empower the young women entrepreneurs and how to make legislation for the governments, like government procurement, as Arif have just said, and also about setting up business development centers, business incubators, supporting small and medium enterprises. It's all about really how to set up the legislation, policy and procedures, how to empower the people, and how to have a good product. So how do you feel the interrelation of your work with the global agenda of economic empowerment of women? Thank you.
Well, I can just say that very good question, and I think it's very important to have a global view of whatever work that you're doing, whatever company you're in. And women that are in mid-management and that are seeking to go to the C-suite, they have to think of a global agenda. And so I just want to say, yes, global agenda is very important. You might want to speak more on the global agenda.
Shikha, we already have a global agenda, but these are nice sounding words, right? But it has to start from each nation, each state, with the right policy that is women friendly. Malaysia, for example, Indonesia to a lot of extent, we already have that in place. But how do you think that we could link this global agenda, big word, high sounding, to the realities of women on the ground who are just starting to make life more meaningful to them?
First of all, for food security, I'll come back to you. 2006, at WIF conference in Jakarta, I was asked to speak on food security, global food security. And I had this one map. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. Just the women, 80%, first of all, agriculture is the biggest employer. And every 80% of agricultural employment are women. From upstream, downstream to selling, everywhere. But they need technology, they need assistance in the new methods and all that. Talking about the global and the United Nations, I have been part to 3 declarations, United Nations. I participated in the Cairo Declaration, in Asila Declaration. That declaration to the United Nations was specifically on agriculture. And 12:30 at night, all of us signed to the United Nations on agriculture, even to found a bank And the bank has to be specifically agricultural bank because the women are workers there. We have to train them, we have to educate them, provide them with packaging and external and internal markets. Then, beginning of the year, I was participant in becoming chronic. I was participant in the United Nations Cordoba Declaration in Spain. We talked about Egypt, we talked about all Africa, we talked about MENA, and we came up with the Cordoba Declaration. But the Cordoba Declaration was only food shortage and global agenda. We went into actually exploitation of children in agricultural because they are not given education. So when the mother's working, usually the children are working with them. So we pointed out that we need to ensure education of children in the Cordoba Declaration. So it's simple. What we need to do instead of global, I mean, look at United Nations. Are they doing anything? Well, they have good refreshments and all that, and, meeting each other. But we women, if you just go, we have in Egypt, village by Dr. Handrusa, Heba Handrusa, village by village, we empower every village to go to do its own economic development, village by village. Now, 8 villages under UNIDO are progressing. And we have under UNIDO only you have to start and then UNIDO will back it up. And many organizations under UNIDO that you can have. Forget global. Go global, baby step, one by one, on your village, next door neighbor. How to, food wastage. I mean, yesterday, when I know how many, I have thousands and thousands of Syrian orphans and widows in my care. When I see all that food, for global hygienic standard, it has to be dumped. When our women, just our next door neighbor, the Syrian women and Iraqi women, are literally, we are losing about 400 children out of malnutrition. They die monthly, 400 to 500 children. But we have to be educated. Yes, we want to show off with all the food and that somebody, 1 or 2 people visit us on, we put a huge banquet. But we have to learn also conscious. Number 1, conscious. Is it worth impressing somebody rather than reduce that and give the money to the poor to be able to have, something in their mouths?
Yes.
So we need to, not to dependence on UNIDO, UNCHR, all that. We have to depend on each other. Say to each other, you want? I am in Sri Lanka, this village. I am in Bangladesh. Yesterday I saw Bangladesh. I saw the people in Nigeria. I said, okay, I'm coming. It also helps to be a grandma. I mean, before when I was older, I had to have equilibrium, children, businesses. Now, immediately you are taken for granted. There's a grandma, you're cuddly, you're what. And we go village by village everywhere.
Priya, do you have anything to add? Priya?
I want to say that, firstly, you've asked whether we are the global authority. I want to say it's one thing to write policy. It's another thing to give effect to it. You've got to ask yourself the question, what is the legacy you want to leave behind? At the end of your journey, you need to say, how many women's lives have you changed via your business incubators, via your different enterprises? What are the lives that you've impacted on? And as Women of Africa, we've changed the lives of 400 women year on year for the last 9 years. So it's nice to have statistics. It's nice to have a global perspective. But what do you make of it? You've got to turn all that talk into reality and give effect to it. That's what's important. Thank you.
We are on the same page, and a big page. Sharifa, would you like to add something? Because we still have about 10 minutes.
Okay, I'll just add a little bit to what Priya was saying. So it's good to have this global agenda and empowerment of women and all that, and implementing, or not implementing, just establishing the proper legislation for all this. But what we really have to look at is, okay, you can pass all these laws, but it all boils down to the community. Are you evolved enough to accept these laws? You could say, okay, women have equal rights and can own properties, but in reality, in the rural areas or in certain communities, the men still, it's just tradition or customary that the men hold the properties and the women do not inherit it. So if you don't tackle this issue of your cultural barriers, I don't see how legislation, whatever legislation you pass, can have any effect.
It varies from country to country,
Yes,
I think, yeah.
yes.
For example, in Malaysia, we do have a very friendly environment in the sense that we have special allocation of funds for women entrepreneurs and all that. And I think women-friendly government is a must. Not friendly in the way that we understand it to be, but friendly in the sense that we set an enabling environment for women to thrive in businesses and also in their professional career. And I think America is a developed country.
Yes.
UAE is very developed. South Africa is very developed. But there are areas, patches of areas in each one of our country where poverty prevails. And I think poverty eradication is the work of the government. But as entrepreneurs that are already successful, we can help in our own way by reaching out to them. Now, I do want to hear from the men, and I'm going to choose a victim. Victim, I call it, you know. Are men, you know, do you believe in diversity? Do you believe that women really are economic assets that contribute to the growth of the community, of the corporation that you're in, and also the country?
Thank you for your question. My name is Ali Zbib. I'm the CEO of the Development Association for Nurturing Leadership and Innovation, and I'm an attorney at law. First, I should have thought that there should be men with you on the panel. I defend throughout my life.
Could you join us here, please?
With modesty.
We have still 8 minutes for you to, you know, to
I'm
be
perfectly fine
participating.
from here.
Okay.
With all modesty, I do support women's rights, sometimes more than women themselves. I do believe in the economic value for women, disregarding all the other values on the social level. I want to thank Ms. Hamza for mentioning the legislations. However, I do believe that we still lack the solid platform to empower women. When I say that, I mean we should be empowering more quotas for women. I have always been saying I'm against quotas because quotas do reflect inequality. But to get to equality, you have to impose quotas, whether it was on the legislative level, judicial level, whether it was executive committees, members of parliaments, cabinets, etc. This is on one hand. On another hand, there is a very important issue of inclusion and literacy. We need to lobby more for financial inclusion for women. We are here in, basically we are in the United Arab Emirates. I can say I'm Lebanese, and I can say with all comfort that UAE is the most developed Arab country in several sectors. We still live in an era where women in certain countries are not allowed to drive. We live in other eras where women are not allowed to be judges in many countries. They're not allowed to be members of parliaments. I do not mean this to be an intervention, but I need to say out loud that the rule of law must apply in terms of empowering women, not only through allowing women to become CEOs of businesses, but through realizing the value of this half of community, that if we do not seek inclusion and literacy on all levels, all of us here, we are highly educated. Ladies, you are pioneers in your fields. Do you know how many women do not even have access to the minimum standards of living simply because they are of the female gender?
We know.
Right? Okay, so I know you know more than me. I speak of financial inclusion before I speak of empowerment, and I speak of quota for women in all countries, especially in Islamic countries, for one main reason: the Quran al-Karim gives women more rights than any other holy book in existence. Islam respects women than any other religion in existence.
Thank you.
And I call for everyone to respect that and follow it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You know that you are on television, and we will send it out on a YouTube so that others will listen to what you have said.
I would like the liberty to answer him.
Yes?
Number one, legislation is one thing. Being a lawyer, you are fed, your bread and butter is from legislation. Okay, so I understand the prejudice there. Legislation, one thing. Don't do this, do that. We have in UAE now legislation. Every government-linked corporation must have a quota of women in their board of directors. Good. What is their contribution is my question. Just the numbers? Or actually the contribution? Hopefully they contribute. But to me, incentive is much better than legislation. To say that a woman, a company that employs more women to this percentage will be given priority in the selection of the tender bids. A woman, a company that has so many women, a company that has so many women in the board will be given this. So using the carrot is, to me, more important than a structural, legal, complicated legislation. In UAE, we have empowerment. We have so many funds, Khalifa Fund, Sheikh Hamad bin Rashid Fund, Sheikh Khalifa Fund, all that. There is not discrimination. I happen to be adjudicating some of the funds. Who gets it? Entrepreneurs and all that, just on the basis of the feasibility study and all that. However, what gives more incentive is that when a woman enters new entry of the tender, they want a background. Now we have elitism, corporate elitism. How many years? 60 years. Well, how many tenders of this size you have won? It's becoming a cartel in which the same companies win the same kind of tenders all the time. And the other upstarts, they are not given. And not only that, what I find is most negative is that even the public listed companies, in order to save money and show more return on capital, they have in-house. So we have this hospital company, which have in-house company for catering, in-house company for uniform, in-house. So they are not sharing. I worked for a company, National Oil Company, Abu Dhabi, ADNOC. ADNOC, we judge the companies on one idea. Yes, they have to be competent, but ADNOC believed in sharing the tenders. We are not giving to the same companies all over again, even if less. We will try to empower that company to do the big job. Yes.
Can I just comment very briefly on the gentleman? Just being a female from the United States, many of the women are very empowering and empower one another in the United States. And in my hometown, Detroit, Michigan, we have one of the most high-profile female CEOs in the country, which is Mary Barra of General Motors. And so you talk about the glass ceiling and empowering people. Mary did just that, and I'm proud to be able to say that she's from Detroit, right from Detroit, my hometown.
You know, we always talk about the glass ceilings. That's one thing. Is a barrier that is imposed against women. But we forget to say that even among women, they have sticky feet. Mm-hmm. They put a glue on their feet. Because life is about options, about making choices. You know, I have to say that I started off from a very poor family. And barriers, invisible or otherwise, are no barriers. If you want to achieve something, you go for it, you will get it. But it is perseverance and commitment. You know, I always tell this, the best thing that I have in my house is a big bathroom, that I can move from one area to another, wash from one place to another, is the river behind my house. But I think we always have to think that we are meant for better things. Mm-hmm. So if we have that, you know, feeling good under your own skin with good education, you will attain whatever you want to do. So it is, you know, this is an organic growth that I see. Before, I think this is also a conclusion remark. We have not done too badly. In the 1950s, if you remember the movie of, what's her name, Julia Roberts, that showed women to be just advertising how to use washing machine, how to use the cleaners. We have come a long way. I mean, you are not here if you're not successful. Before, I'm sure that you can only see about 1 or 2 ladies in the big conference, but now we are quite numerous. I think we have done well. I think the men, surely, slowly but surely, will realize that the cream will always rise to the top. And this cream that skims to the top can be women. And we will eventually realize the fact and accept this fact and recognize the value and worthiness of women in the world economy. I mean, the global thing, but we are talking about community. So I think I'd like to thank everyone for attending our session today, even though we were so fearful that nobody would want to attend because, you know, talking about women all the time is boring. But actually, it is very interesting. And for the women, we are actually constituting a networking platform for you. These are women that have achieved great success. Reach out to them, get their email, and effective networking is just not exchange of name cards. It has to be a follow-up. And you need help, they are there to help. And I'm sure you all will be helping. Yes?
Yes.
So thank you so much again for being here, and a great sounding applause, you know, for our panel. Thank you so much. I hope that clap means we have done pretty well, you know. And could I have the official cameraman, please, to capture us for eternity in the photograph? Okay. Thank you very much.